Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Khorasan, the Caliph and the Corruptor. In this episode, we'll discuss Hijrah in the time of the liar. So, the liar is the corruptor. The corruptor is the Pseudo Messiah, is the Antichrist, the desecrator. So let's consider a little bit about what Hijrah means. Now, typically in a traditional sense, we think of Hijrah as an exodus, leaving one location and going to another for safety purposes. We see, we have it within the Islamic Muhammadan tradition, because we have a broader Islamic tradition where Hijrah is very much inlaid in our broader prophetic tradition since the very beginning. So we know about the Muhammadan community and our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam going on Hijrah, first sending some of the companions to Africa, to Ethiopia, for safety purposes. Later, there is a Hijrah to Medina, to the city of the Prophet, the city of light. And then we see some of the people from Africa go and rejoin the community and stay in Medina for safety purposes, so they could practice their way of life, the Islamic way of life. Now, in our times, there are warnings where people are seeing, okay, we've got Western decadence, we've got sinful, the sinful West, etc. And so people are encouraging Muslims to make Hijrah and go to the mountains as our Nabi, peace be upon him, and another Rasul, Isa alayhi salam, both suggested go to the mountains in these very times. And we would have to observe the signs to see correctly when to go. We're also warned that there's some kind of a winter connection, perhaps. So when the Caliph to come, alayhi salam, the Imam, when he arises, we are told to go to him, even if we have to crawl on our bellies across snow, and I believe I've heard ice as well. So there's a winter connection. Also, Isa says that pray that your flight, you're fleeing from the world to the mountains will not be in winter, and also that you will not be with child. So this is an interesting thing to pray about. So when it comes to this Hijrah, this exodus that goes back to Musa alayhi salam, Harun, Yusha, peace be upon them, Bani Israel. We have an exodus at that time, a Hijrah at an earlier point, and various other Hijrahs. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he makes Hijrah. So Hijrah is imprinted in the broader prophetic tradition since the very beginning. We'll discuss that more in the future, but what I want us to consider is, what does Hijrah look like in our very times? Now, the liar, what we need to do is we need to be, Allah is the truth, the absolute truth. So therefore, all of us should be seeking truth in all that we do. Every area of life, we need to be thinking, take an apophatic approach where you say, is this truth? Is this truth? No, it's kind of like in the Upanishadic tradition, neti, I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but no, this is not truth. This is not Allah. That's one way of approaching it. What you could do is, the Dajjal is going to try to play the role of God. So, of Allah. He wants to take this place. So, we have to look around and look for falsehood, for art. So, we're talking about, the Dajjal is related to deception, to falsehood, to lies, to untruth, to non-truth, to pseudo-truth. So, we'll discuss him more in the future, but what I would say is that many of us are not in position, because literally the West is worldwide now. On some level, it's perhaps not completely escapable. I'm not really sure where there would be a safe place to go. In another video, I discussed how we may be deceived about Mecca and Medina being the safe place to go, as it might not mean what we thought it to mean. The Mecca and Medina can be viewed other ways, eschatologically, within the context of prophecy. So what I want us to consider is that in the biblical text, in Revelation, one of the things that pops up, this is a very biblical way of looking at things, that the world that we are to come out of, and that we're to make Hijrah, or Exodus, out of, is a spiritual realm. And it's a false spiritual realm, an artificially constructed reality. And it's called Babylon, it's called Egypt, it's called Rome, which by extension we could call Constantinople, and it's finally called Mystery Babylon. It's a pharaonic system, a one-eyed system. We see the one-eyed symbolism worldwide now, constantly. And this is because those are the friends of the shayateen. Those are the corruptors' army. And notice that if you study those brotherhoods at all, they're constantly referring to priesthood and kingship roles and titles. They're obsessed with aristocracy and nobility. And so we'll discuss that more in the future, inshallah, and we have in some other videos as well. But suffice it to say, what we need to do is we need to come out of that system. Regardless of what we might call it, we have to make Hijrah of the heart, which includes Tawbah and Tazkiyah. And we have to change the way that we view reality and seek truth everywhere. And truth is all around us, because everything is kun created. So therefore, we have an access point to everything, and we can see through. So falsity is almost like a veneer, a false veneer, a fog that we can see through if we have eyes to see, ears to hear, a heart to feel, know, and understand. And may we be in a state of purity, ethics, and insight, which is all related to what I call Hijrah of the heart. Making Tawbah and Tazkiyah, making that intention to come out of this mystery Babylon system, this dirty artificial Dajjalic realm that is one-eyed, meaning that it lacks depth perception. It's an incorrect view of reality. It is hunchbacked, meaning that it is not upright. It is pigeon-toed, meaning that it does not walk the straight path. It is malformed, it is disfigured, meaning that it is manipulated and transmutated. It is transhuman, in fact. And it is cancerous and toxic. It is rooted in an unethical, impure way of living in this realm. So what that means is to come out of the Antichrist system, we have to start with ourselves by engaging in the greater struggle, struggling against all that which is false, artificial, which is untrue and non-reality. So we have to align ourselves and harmonize ourselves with real nature. It's the artificial versus the natural. It is the modified versus the organic. All right, so we need to go as organic and pure and ethical as possible, meaning we've got to read reality properly. This is why viewing Islam as a holistic, natural, harmonious way of life is essential. It's critical to the worldview. If people are, so it's true that Islam is a comprehensive, total way of life. However, there are two different views of it. There is the idolatrous, false version of Islam, which is, and I put that in quotes, and this expression is, it's wrong-headed, it's close-hearted, it's totalitarian. So you've got holistic versus totalitarian. Totalitarian is authoritarian. You got two different views of the Caliph in a caliphate. One view is a political system which is for controlling of the individuals and the state. It's authoritarian and tyrannical potentially. The holistic version is the one that is full of nur and light, that is rooted in insight, wisdom, and compassion. This is what we need to get to. So a holistic, organic way of living, a natural way of living, getting back to as close to the garden. We need to eat like we're living in the garden. We need to speak like we're living in the garden. We need to behave as if we're in the garden. Because even if we're not in the garden, we need to be making steps toward the garden. The garden is all around us, but we are separated by illusion. So a fog prevents us from seeing reality as it actually is. If we could see it correctly, we would see the garden manifest all around us. The hereafter is the very moment after this. Boom, 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 hereafter. It's not just what takes place after death. We are constantly dying from one moment to the next, transforming, because creation is ongoing. And like, creation does not end at one moment. You are not born in a vacuum. We're part of an ongoing, beautiful creation. So I want us to consider that to come out of, so Hijrah, making exodus from a false Babylonian, Egyptian pharaonic system, because Pharaoh, the Dajjal is a pharaoh. He's a pharaoh of the earth. He uses pharaonic symbology that's also related to Babylonian magic. There's a lot of blood ritual and ritualism, priesthood talk and kingship talk, nobility talk, but false nobility. True nobility is rooted in taqwa, in living with dignity and integrity as an upright human being, as a child of Adam alayhi salam. Coming into our maturity, our perfection, our excellence, and our beautification. To live in a beautiful, creative manner where we're present in the moment and we're appreciative of every breath and every step. So we can come out of, we can make Hijrah by Go through your medical cabinet, and anything that is toxic and cancer causing, find what is better and more healthy and replace it. The same thing with your refrigerator and your food pantry, with your body products, with your clothing. Come out of synthetic and artificial and move toward our organic and natural as much as possible. We need to really make moves to come out of this false artificial construct, and also do not move deeper into a digital artificial construct, which is increasingly dangerous and looming on the horizon. That will be related to the Dajjal heaven and hell hadith, where he offers water that looks like heaven or paradise, and in the other hand, fire which looks like hell. And we are told by our Nabi, peace be upon him, to go toward the Dajjal's fire, because that's really going to be paradise. So in other words, it looks difficult to go back into nature. We need to go into nature as much as possible. We need to align ourselves with natural law, not man-made, artificially constructed law that is authoritarian and tyrannical and oppressive, but that which is going to be freeing and help us to come into harmony. We need to go into egoless flow states. We need to dissolve the bonds of the nefs that incites to evil, the nefs that incites to selfish expression. We need to come back into our natural state, and in the purification process that begins with Tobah and Tazkiyah, turning from that which is disharmonious and falsified and coming into reality through purification, then the prophetic reality begins to manifest within us, and then people will actually meet the prophets with your very presence, inshallah. So I pray that we can be healed, that we can come out of this broken state, that we can be brought into an upright, righteous way of living life in a mature expression, in a beautified expression, that we can live out the Jibril alayhi salam hadith in an excellent manner. This is the prophetic path of purification and perfection. So may we be successful in these endeavors. So let's come out of Babylon. Let's come out of Egypt. Let's enter into the natural garden. Let's go from Egypt into the garden, inshallah. Step by step, making it our intention to live with dignity, integrity, with light, with love, in a blessed manner, where we appreciate everything that we do. We're people of appreciation. We're not among the unappreciative, the kafirs, because that's what kafir means, is unappreciative. Those who lack appreciation. To be appreciative means we have to be here in the present moment. We have to be mindful of our breath, of our body sensations, of our thoughts, of our words, of our actions. Everything in Islam is rooted in ethics and purity, and overcoming all expressions of tyranny, oppression, and enslavement. This is how we live in a just, merciful, wise, and compassionate manner. So inshallah, we shall be successful in these endeavors, and we will return to the garden together, inshallah. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.